You're not bad with money. Your brain is just tricking you. And the worst part, it's doing it on autopilot. Most of us have felt like this before, right? We make what feels like a smart financial decision, whether it's buying a new car or quitting our job to start a business, or just making a big one-time purchase. But then the financial repercussions of that decision start to hit us a few months later, and we realize that we made a huge mistake. So today I wanted to take a deep look into the dark psychology of money and explain why you keep making these bad decisions without even knowing it. Because if you can understand how your own brain works, you can trick your brain into thinking smarter so you can become better with money. Now, before we jump into this, I want to preface this by saying that there is no shame in the mistakes that we make with money. Most of us are constantly making mistakes because we're constantly evolving and growing and changing. And while some mistakes may cost more than others, the reality is that it's not your fault. Most of what we learn about money from school, parents, or friends isn't really in our DNA, right? In fact, all of the advice out there is based on a bunch of assumptions about how our brains work and how we make decisions. And the biggest assumption is that we're rational, logical beings who can objectively analyze any situation and come to the smartest conclusion possible. But guess what? That's just not how our brains work. In fact, Daniel Gilbert, a Nobel Prize-winning psychologist, explains that our brains actually operate like a bunch of cheap sensors that evolved over thousands of years back when we were trying to figure out how to hunt and gather and not die. And while this may have worked back then, the reality is that these sensors are severely outdated. We evolved to believe things like scarcity is permanent, threats are immediate, and everything should be optimized for instant gratification. Except nowadays, none of those things are true anymore. I mean, think about it. When's the last time you went without food or water for days? Or when was the last time you had to worry about a saber-toothed tiger attacking you? Or when was the last time you didn't know where your next meal would come from? Our brains are still wired for these struggles, but the reality is that most of us live very different lives today. So, here are 5 of the ways our primitive brain is screwing us over when it comes to money. Number 1, loss aversion. You hate losing money more than you like gaining it. And this is a huge problem because it makes you hold on to losing trades like a bad relationship. As much as we like to think that we're rational people who make logical decisions with our investments, studies show that we actually hold on to losing investments twice as long as we should. In fact, a study in 2012 found that investors who bought and sold to equally risky mutual funds at random did 30% worse than if they had just held on to the fund that they originally bought. And the reason why is something called loss aversion, which describes our brain's tendency to feel the pain of a loss twice as strongly as the pleasure of an equivalent gain. This is because our brain views losses as threats, and threats require more of our attention to figure out how to avoid them. That's great for dodging a saber-toothed tiger, but not so much when you're trying to boost your investment portfolio. Number 2 is overconfidence bias. A 2021 crypto win doesn't make you Warren Buffett. Let's be real here. We've all totally done this at some point, right? After seeing a couple of good trades in a row, suddenly you feel like you've got it all figured out. But studies show that this is just not the case. In fact, research shows that almost nobody has above-average investment returns, and most of the best-performing investors do it by accident. Most people don't realize we often think we're way better at things than we really are. It's wild how much we overestimate our own skills, right? Now, sometimes this can be good. Like if you think you're a great driver, you're more likely to wear a seatbelt. But this can be a huge problem when it comes to money, because chances are that you're just not as smart with money as you think you are. So instead of patting yourself on the back for nailing one stock pick, take some time to appreciate the fact that you simply have a job or a business that pays you. Number 3, confirmation bias. You Google until you find someone who agrees with your terrible financial decision. If you thought loss aversion made you stubborn, confirmation bias will make you downright irrational. Basically, this is the tendency for us to only accept information that confirms what we already believe to be true. And it starts long before we actually make a decision. It begins the moment we notice a discrepancy between our current situation and our desired situation, at which point our brain immediately jumps into action and tries to convince us that everything's actually fine. For example, let's say you really want to buy that new iPhone. So you open up Google and type in is it worth it to buy the new iPhone? And you scroll through all of the articles and the comments until you finally find a couple of people who say yes, at which point you tell yourself, hey, a couple of people said it's worth it, so I guess I should go ahead and buy it. But realistically, you probably would have found 10 more articles telling you that it's a waste of money if you would have continued searching. But your brain tricked you into stopping at the first positive result, so you could feel better about your decision. Number 4. Instant gratification. Why invest for the future when your brain can get a dopamine hit from buying a $900 blender right now? We live in a day and age where we can buy anything we want instantly. And this is both a blessing and a curse. On one hand, Amazon can deliver you anything you want in 2 days. But on the other hand, your brain starts to believe that everything should be instantly available to you at all times. For example, let's say you decide to save $100 per month. Now, normally, that would be a great thing, except when you think about it. You realize that you could buy 75 Starbucks drinks with that money. And that's the problem. Our brain associates dollar amounts with how many things we can buy rather than understanding the actual value of the things we buy. But the scariest part is that our brains literally rewire themselves to prefer instant gratification over long-term rewards. So saving money becomes less of a logical choice and more of a battle between your old brain and your new brain. Number 5. Lifestyle creep. You got a raise, and now you're broke in a fancier apartment. Let's face it, the entire concept of saving money is pretty depressing. You spend all this time working and hustling and grinding, and then you finally make a little bit extra money and you get to enjoy your life a little bit more. But then you forget that your brain will just readjust to the new lifestyle. And before you know it, you're back to square one, chasing the same high again. This is what we call lifestyle creep. Spending more than you earn more. And the problem with this is that we often justify these purchases by saying things like, hey, I deserve it, I work hard, and I'm going to enjoy myself. Except the reality is that we quickly become accustomed to our new lifestyle. And unless we consciously try to fight against lifestyle creep, we'll just continue to spend more and more money until we're flat broke. So, now that we understand the enemy, how do we actually fix it? Number 1, use automatic savings or investing tools. The simplest way to trick your brain into saving more money is to automate the process completely. This way, you never see the money, so you won't be tempted to spend it. Number 2, set up some cool-down periods for spending. The best way to tackle instant gratification is to stop those impulse buys. So, before you buy anything that costs more than $100, wait 7 days, and then decide if you still want to buy it. Number 3, create mental buckets for your money. One of the best ways to beat lifestyle creep is to give each of your spending categories a mental bucket. Think of it this way. You could have $400 for groceries, $200 for dining out, and $500 for travel. And then whenever you get a raise, you can choose to either increase these buckets or leave them the same and enjoy more disposable income. Number 4, invest in habits, not hype. The best way to beat overconfidence bias is to understand that the skills that you have are a lot more valuable than the stocks that you buy. So focus on mastering the skills that will help you make more money rather than getting caught up in the hype of buying the next hot stock. Number 5, learn to sit with discomfort. The best way to beat confirmation bias is to allow yourself to sit with the discomfort of uncertainty. Because while it might be uncomfortable, it's also where the real learning happens. You don't have to be loaded to be smart with your cash. It's all about outsmarting your own mind, So hopefully this video helps you understand the psychological traps that are preventing you from becoming better with your money. If it does, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more content. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.